Hey everyone! So, this is a topic I never thought I'd come back to, but I guess fate had other plans. To briefly summarize for those unaware, around 2 years ago I put out a video analyzing the storybook from Super Mario Galaxy. It holds up decently well, all things considered, at least the analysis itself does. I'm thinking of simply re-recording the whole thing because my voiceover is kinda bad and the animation at the beginning is extremely outdated, but that's not what this video is about. This is about what happened in the Nintendo Direct on the 12th of September 2025. It became Mario's 40th anniversary, so we'd obviously get some news about the franchise. So, what happened? Well, it was nothing too crazy, only Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 re-released for modern hardware with new storybook pages in both, a physical release of the original storybook to go along with them, and the sequel to the Mario movie being themed around Galaxy. So you can tell I popped off a lot during that direct, to the point where I nearly cried. I considered new storybook content to be in those gaming dreams that would never come true, you know? In the same league as a new Banjo-Kazooie game or a new Rayman game, get what I mean? After I calmed down just a little once I found out, I then realized, wait, I can do another video. And that brings us to today. In this video, we'll talk about the brand new content added in both Galaxy 1 and 2, analyze the heck out of them, and talk about how the movie does things. We'll get there when we get there, so let's go back to Galaxy 1. Oh yeah, there's heavy spoilers for both Galaxy games in this video, as well as both Mario movies, just thought I should mention that. Oh, and like and subscribe so I can be happy about what I'm doing. Let's go! I don't want to analyze the storybook of Galaxy 1 for a third time, technically, so I'll give a brief synopsis of what happens and the general themes of it before we get into the new chapter, for those who didn't watch my original video. Okay? Okay, let's go. A young Rosalina goes on a journey to search for a Luma's mother, only for her to realize she wants to take care of them herself. She has a great time caring for them alongside any other Lumas they come across, but starts to doubt her choices once she realizes she left her family behind and hasn't seen them since. She was subconsciously trying to find her own mother out here too, but it hits her here suddenly that she will never see her again after her death. After seeing how the Luma has grown under her influence, however, she realizes that she made the right choice, that this is her family now. She grew up, moved on from the past, and found her passion in motherhood. Key themes are family, grief, and growing up. It's nice to look back on the past here and there, but it's important to live in the moment and make yourself a better future. All of this in an optional 30-minute book in a Mario game. And now, we get to see how she's doing in the present day, in the epilogue chapter, Good Night. We see a collection of Lumas bouncing around, as happy as can be, talking about a new world they will come across. The girl picks up her guitar and plays a lullaby to calm them all down, leading to them all falling asleep. She says goodnight to them before going to sleep herself, readying for the next day where they will continue to search for where the Lumas truly come from. As the girl dreams, she thinks to herself how meeting new people is scary, but fun, just like how meeting old friends is fun. She then states that maybe next time, she'll visit an entirely new world. She says goodbye to everyone she met on her current journey, and says hello in advance to anyone she will meet on her next. The Comet Observatory flies off for the next journey, ending this final part of the story. Right from the get-go, I don't believe this finale has anything explicitly new to say about the story's messages. I think this chapter is here to showcase how Rosalina currently feels because of the new design of the girl. One of my favourite subtle aspects of the storybook is how the girl never seems to age despite years going by, representing how she is stuck thinking about her past. In this epilogue, however, she has finally grown up, looking the most like Rosalina she ever has. She's been through her character arc, learned her lessons, and can finally grow more as a person. Obviously, there's heavy emphasis on saying goodbye to your past here, which I think is warranted because the original finale had the girl go back to her original planet, quote, "But it would be nice to return home once every 100 years to napping my favourite sleeping nook." She returned, reminisced, and now she is moving on. This adds even more emotion to the post-credits scene, because it shows Rosalina reminiscing before going back on her journey. So, yeah, if you couldn't tell, I really love this new finale to the storybook. It solidifies the general themes presented nearly 20 years ago, and feels so satisfying, even from a meta standpoint. Speaking of outside the game, I want to bring attention to some other details about this chapter I love. Firstly, there's new music tracks for all of these new storybook thingies. Good Night is a beautiful track, pairing with the relaxing, wholesome feel of the epilogue wonderfully. I headcanon that this is the melody that Rosalina played on her guitar. It also has the Don't Forget motif. Speaking of the guitar, they brought that back from concept art. Yeah, a few years back, people discovered a piece of concept art for Rosalina where she was playing a guitar in a black top and jeans, and whilst the clothing didn't stay there, I love the detail that she knows how to play an instrument. It's details like that that make you care about a character more, as you know the more intimate details about them. Finally, I think the new art is a huge improvement over the original. It may be because the images were upscaled and it looks kind of awkward, but I feel like you can see a higher production value within the pages of this new chapter, and it's so nice to see. In conclusion, yeah, it's pretty good. Should you pay £40 for this version of the game if you have already played it for this single chapter alone? No, man, it's like 5 minutes of extra content, just look it up. Thankfully, this is not the only storybook content I need to cover today, because there is an entirely new one in Super Mario Galaxy 2's re-release. I feel like the fact that they added a storybook to Galaxy 2 at all is even more surprising than them adding more onto the first one. Everybody knows Galaxy 2 as the fun one, and Galaxy 1 as the atmospheric one. Galaxy 1's color scheme is darker, the opening level is desolate yet calming, and it has one of the most fascinating endings to a Nintendo game ever. Galaxy 2, on the other hand, is a good video game. A really good one, mind you, but the fact that it didn't take many risks with what a Mario game can be led to it being a strange one to look back on, at least for me. I play Galaxy 1 all the time, but hadn't played Galaxy 2 for a long while until this re-release. And I had to make so many apologies to it, man. I truly forgot how good this game is, because I was so fixated on it not doing the same things as its predecessor. But hey, my mind has changed, and the game has too, with its introduction of its very own storybook. This is mostly a completely separate tale from what Galaxy 1's storybook tells, but they do end up converging towards the end nonetheless. With all that preamble said and done, let's begin with Chapter 1, Twins. We are introduced to two twin Lumas, Mari and Lu, who once lived together with the Lady of the Stars. They were both nearly identical in every way, except for their personalities. Mari was the extroverted one, always looking for more fun, and Lu was less expressive, taking their time to do things. This dichotomy is what kept them together, however, as they lived their whole lives as joyful as can be in each other's embrace. At least, until one day, where Mari turned into a star. Out of completely nowhere, they were separated, leaving Lu all alone to question why. The only lead she had was that they turned into stars to help someone, but who did Mari turn into a star for? When questioning the Lady of the Shooting Stars, she only stated that she will always be in their hearts, and that the stardust left behind in her wake will give life to new Lumas. She could return at some point, but there's no telling when that may be. Lu couldn't bear to hear this, ending Chapter 1. Right from the get-go, we can see how this is looking to expand the themes of family, as this whole chapter is about the bond between Mari and Lu. The fact that they are both identical is also an important detail, keep it in mind. I will admit that it's a little jarring to end this chapter on Lu crying. We don't go into detail about this, or even see them crying in any panels, unlike when the girl cries throughout Chapter 7. That's just a nitpick, however, as I still think this is a great setup for the rest of the story. We get an idea of what it may be trying to tell us, whilst understanding who the key characters are. On to Chapter 2, Alone. Would you believe it? Lu is alone. She waited and waited and waited for 100 years, but no signs of Mari even showed. Nothing changed at all for Lu because she wanted everything to go back to the way it was. She didn't want to become a star herself, but she felt useless the way she is now. Until, finally, she gained the confidence to look for Mari herself. Centuries passed this time, with confidence waning every passing day. She found the Lady of the Stars a good few times, but no Mari. Her friends began to turn into stars themselves, whilst she stayed the same. Luz starts to think that Mari's forgotten about her, and realizes that she's truly getting nowhere no matter how long she tries to look. Her loneliness really starts to get the better of herself now, and just wishes she could turn into a star so these emotions would go away. She tried as hard as she could to turn into a star, but nothing worked. This chapter made me realize how interesting it is for the interpretations of this rebirth to be so different across storybooks. The girl in book 1 sees this moment as a beauty of life, something sad in the moment, but makes you appreciate the time you spend with that person so much more. Lu, however, sees this differently, and can't get over the fact that they'll never be able to see Mari ever again. It's super interesting to see multiple sides to a similar event, you know? Not everyone's gonna see something the same way. That's not the only great thing about this part, of course. It really feels lonely, in a way that feels unique to itself. We saw so many people gathered in the previous part, but we pretty much only see Lu in this part, save for a few thought bubbles. It's done surprisingly well here, and... wait, loneliness? That's one of the big things with Galaxy 1! They understood the assignment! Bringing back this idea makes perfect sense, and is so liberating to see, as someone who values it over what Galaxy 2 does. But yeah, another great part of the story so far, emphasizing how low Lu has gone since Mari's disappearance. Let's get to Chapter 3, Hope. The Lady of Shooting Stars appeared before Lu, and states that becoming a star is not the right course of action here. This path of life Lu is taking does not allow for this, and if she stays on this course, she may be able to reunite with Mari someday. Thousands of years may have been, but their connection through Stardust has stayed strong. The struggles of Lu remind her of her younger self, and how she believed that she may reunite someday with her special one. Hope is like a lighthouse. If you keep its fire lit, Mari can find her way back. These words resonated with Lu so much, to the point where her hope stays to this very day. Lu has become as dependable and confident as Mari would have loved to see, and she now leads her own crew of Lumas across space to continue her own special journey. So yeah, this is about as neat of a conclusion as you can get out of this story. Hope is such a great addition to the key themes of these stories, and it fits in like a glove. Even after thousands of years of searching, crying, and confusion, the fire of hope still burns within Lu, no matter what may happen. I really like the description of Lu at the end here too. I think it parallels Mari in the opening chapter a lot. Lu clearly idolized Mari a lot, to where I would say that she wanted to be just like her, and this spark of hope finally gave her enough confidence to do it. Oh, yeah, if you couldn't tell from the art, Lu is Lubba, your companion throughout the whole of Galaxy 2. And no, you're not hallucinating, there was a translation issue which referred to Lubba as male before. She is and was always meant to be female. I always liked Lubba, but never really thought much of her past that, especially considering the steep competition from the previous game. Rosalina's one of my favourite characters in gaming after all, and whilst I wouldn't say I adore her in the modern day, I do appreciate what this storybook adds to her character. But wait, why am I talking like we're done here? There's still the final chapter to go. Well, this chapter isn't even about Lubba, so let's turn our gaze across the universe to the final chapter, Light. Mari is exhausted out in the middle of space, having awoken too many times to count. She seems very complacent, calling everywhere she's been boring. She was starting to break at the seams as a person, scattering her memories and losing her sense of time. She begins recalling events where she felt like this before, but trails off until giving up. A planet flies by her, so she greets its residents. She thinks it could explode at any moment due to its age, but the residents didn't understand and ran away when approached. This had happened many times before. Nonetheless, she waved them goodbye, saying Rosalina's famous line. A comet flies by her soon after, so she approaches and asks about its situation. The comet is pretty standoff against her, unfortunately, finding her life lessons more weird than anything. Mari then stated that any extra details about herself don't really matter, which surprises the Comet. Lumas repeat the same stuff over and over again, so she thinks that forgetting everything and moving on is just how life should work. The Comet then basically states that she should get some help before leaving, but Mari doesn't even remember who she should get help from. After a quick rest, Mari then awoke to a pitch-black world. Absolute darkness, as far as the eye could see. Mari, however, knew that she would become a star again anyway, so she didn't even think much of it. She thinks to herself that she became a star to help someone special, but she's never served anyone. She seemed to prefer this endless darkness over the light even. But then, a purple glow emanated from afar. A familiar feeling crawls back to her, and suddenly, she remembers Lu. She remembers her purpose. She's gonna find her sister, no matter how long it may take. Mari becomes a star once more, with a refound purpose, ending the final chapter. Oh boy, there's a lot to this one. When I finished this thing back in the day, my immediate thought was, oh my god. What? This chapter is extremely interpretive, even in comparison to everything else in these games. After thinking about it on and off since I first read it, however, here is what I've come up with. So, Mari rebirths all the time trying to find her purpose. She greets everyone and everyone she finds with a smile, despite her complacency towards her situation. She wants, or at least wanted, to matter to someone, but she spent so long trying to find someone who would care about her that she forgot what she was looking for in the first place. The endless void she finds solace in represents empty feelings towards everything she does in the modern day. She likes helping people, but doesn't understand why it matters anymore. When the purple spark appears in the void, however, I don't think this comes out of complete nowhere. Remember, hope is like a beacon of light that shows people the right way. This could very well be a physical manifestation of Lu's hope, guiding Mari to remember what she needs to do. The person she needed to help all this time as a star was the person she was with at birth. It was Lu. Despite becoming a star originally signifying the end of a journey, it has always also meant the start of a new one. Whilst Lu has been on the same journey since birth, Mari hasn't been able to find her journey, so she kept looking until she found what she was looking for all this time. So, what's the general takeaway for this tale? With Storybook 1, it was to not be afraid of growing up or motherhood, but with this one, I believe it is to never forget why you matter. Mari became complacent in everything. She actively believed that it did not matter what happened to herself until she remembered her true calling to be with Lu. And that is what I think this story is all about. Lu nearly became too distraught to keep that spark of hope that led to Mari's rediscovery of her purpose lit up. And overall, it's a more than mild successor to the most exceptional piece of Mario media ever created. I'm back! 5,000 years. You wanna know what happened? They just dropped a goddamn epilogue for this new storybook on us. Yeah, so there is now officially the definitive chance that this video could become outdated at any moment, as those evil people at Nintendo could decide at any random moment to drop a new chapter on us that makes me rethink everything again. Oh well, I'm fairly confident that this will be the last one, considering how the colour of the storybook changed and the fact that it's an epilogue. I'm still not over how they just suddenly dropped it, however. Let's not waste any more time and just get into it, huh? Here's the epilogue. Journey. One night, the Lady of Shooting Stars felt a premonition that a new star would be born soon. She usually gathers all the Lumas together to celebrate a time like this, but she decided to wait in the garden on her own this time. Whilst waiting for the main event, she was reminded of her childhood, where she would look into the sky with her telescope. Eventually, two streaks of light shone through the sky. One was blue, and the other was purple. They never touched and never flew apart, but they seemed like they were playing. They began circling each other faster and faster, glowing brighter and brighter, until they both transformed together into two suns. They shone brighter than ever, turning the sky into a light blue. She then said hello to the two reborn stars as a starbit falls down her cheek, as well as welcome back. Hearing a voice at her feet, she looked down to say to not cry, as their mother's waiting for their tears to dry. Who is she saying this to? her younger self. This display of rebirth is too beautiful not to be touched. The two suns pull at each other so strongly that it's practically certain they'll never part. They found their special someone. The girl asks when she'll meet her special someone, to which the lady responds that the strongest force in all of the universe is a heart that never gives up. The girl grips her hand and agrees, and the lady leaves the garden, ready to return to the Lumas waiting for another bedtime story. To this day, the garden shines brightly, and the winds heard throughout the meadow sound like a waltz. This finally ends the storybooks of both Galaxy games. Obviously, this one heavily focused on Rosalina more than Mari and Lou, but it's pretty clear that it gave them a satisfying conclusion too. Rosalina's story was about not being able to find her special someone and finding greater purpose outside of that, so I'm glad that Mari and Lou managed to find each other here. Obviously, however, the standout moment here is Rosalina confronting her younger self. At first, I was kinda concerned that they were doing this time loop thing, as the shots of Rosalina look very similar to her mother, but no, it's something called parallels. She has become the person she idolized all her life, which, hey, is that something I mentioned before or what? She's now taking the time to tell herself that she's succeeded. Also, a surprising thing to call back to, but they gave a reason for the garden being like it is in Galaxy 1. It's not something I really thought of too much, but I know people really love entering the garden to such a calming, silent sight. You can only hear the faint chirps of birds and the wind, and the bright blue sky contrasts most of the general theme of Galaxy 1's skies. But yeah, the main sentiment to take away from this is that Rosalina has grown, but has not forgotten how she got there. Don't forget your past, embrace it, and learn how to improve. This is a fantastic finale chapter, nearly making me tear up every time I read it. And that marks the end of the game's analysis. Obviously, I couldn't be more happy that they returned to this absolute triumph of storytelling. It's almost like they saw my video and were like, hey, let's do that. Obviously they didn't, but like imagine. I mean, the timeline kinda lines up, so it surprises me even to this day that we got exactly what I wanted. New storybook pages and a physical version of the original. I got that thing the moment I could, and my life has improved about 10% across the board since it entered my room. I even got the Rosalina Galaxy-themed amiibo, and it's surprising how much detail they packed into the thing. It's about 20% larger than your average amiibo, and there's a page from the storybook printed onto the book she's holding. I'm a big fan of amiibo, by the way. I have a normal amount. Maybe one day I can talk about it. Anyway, yeah, this is where I could end the video, right? Just wholesome times all around, huh? Well, obviously, there was one more major project released featuring the key characters I've talked about. And I've delayed talking about it long enough, because the Mario Galaxy movie makes me sad. I was super hyped when it was announced, but the more I kept seeing of it, the scarier it became. More and more characters were piling up, even stuff not from Mario, so I was scared of whether or not they would be able to adapt these stories effectively. All I wanted out of this film was for them to make Rosalina more like she is in the Galaxy games, and for them to adapt the storybook in some way. Whether it be a literal storybook the characters read, or a flashback scene where Rosalina talks about her past, I just needed something. Did I get that stuff? Well, not really, but like in a very technical sense I did. So, first off, Rosalina's barely in the damn movie. She was the main crux of the first trailer, so I expected her to be the main focal point. And whilst she technically was, it was in a way I'm very unhappy with. Peach in these films is far more of a badass than in the games. She never needs saving and can find her way out of things effectively. There was a conscious decision made by the writers to make herself not a damsel in distress to flesh her out more. So you'd never guess what they did to Rosalina in this damn movie. They literally swapped their roles. It's insane. She's clearly much more capable of a person than Peach, and I am okay with her getting kidnapped at first. The second time, however, is where I pull the straw, as that is the last you see or even hear of her until the gang makes it to the Comet Observatory. I guess they had to make room for Fox McCloud, as I'm pretty certain he has more lines than her. But here's the thing. I like Fox McCloud in the movie. He's genuinely one of the more fun aspects of it. His 2D animated intro sequence was so fun, and I do like the way he is characterized here. My problem is not with the content itself, it's the sheer principle that you ditch what I'd argue is the most significant aspect of the Galaxy games in terms of how it stands out from the crowd. My main takeaway from the movie is that everything I wanted to like, I didn't like, and everything I didn't want in the movie, I actually liked. Bowser Jr. and his camaraderie with his dad was super good, I already talked about Fox McCloud, and the action was a major improvement over the last one. This is all stuff I either didn't think was needed in the movie, or would be more of a side thing in comparison to what truly mattered. And I know what some people may be thinking. Oh, it's just a silly Mario movie, they didn't want to add any deep narrative hooks because why would they need to? And to that I say, did you watch the first 20 minutes of this video? I've proved that the Galaxy games, more so Galaxy 1, pride themselves on deeper narrative hooks than other games in the franchise. I'm not saying that they needed to adapt everything to a T. I don't need the universe to collapse, I don't need Rosalina to have a dead mother, and I do not need most of the movie to be lonely. All I needed was for some of these elements to be present in some way. Rosalina's relationship with family, an ending with meaning, and more calming and serene moments of contemplation. This is a good Mario adaptation, but a very bad Mario Galaxy adaptation. In my opinion, of course. But hey, I see what some people may be thinking. Isn't Rosalina's relationship with family present anyway? Well, yeah it is. Let's talk about what they do with it then. The first scene of the movie? Amazing, exactly how I imagined Rosalina to interact with the Lumas. I also love how she gets caught because of her relationship with them. Bowser Jr. aims at the lot, distracting her long enough to get caught. It's a very solid intro to the character. But that's all we get. We gotta dick around with bee-sex, fat frogs, and dumb babies before finally reaching the Comet Observatory after like an hour of not seeing what should be one of the most significant characters in the movie. Peach enters the library and comes across a certain book. From there, I was locked in. Were they gonna do something finally? Well, they did do something. I don't know about it though. This book confirms the definitely extremely subtle foreshadowing laid throughout the film. Peach is now Rosalina's sister in the movies. They were born from Stardust and have super special awesome superpowers because of that. People tried using them for their own personal gain, leading to Rosalina, the older of the two, separating them ages apart. They never interact between this, and they reconcile at the end of the movie, and I mean literal end as they meet, a montage of the reconstruction of the castle plays, and we're done. What are my thoughts on this as a whole? It's literally the most fine thing on this planet, but it's a far cry from the nuance given to us in the game's storybooks. I don't think I'll hate you if you only know Rosalina's character from this, but I would highly encourage you to take a half hour to read the storybooks, preferably within the game for the sweet music sync. The positives of this newfound relationship are that it still makes Rosalina a character about family, but the negatives are that I just don't care. We have zero time to dwell on this, no scenes of Peach talking to Mario about this, potentially building up their relationship more, and it's all because of how much stuff this damn movie wants to do. I like all of the stuff that happens here in a vacuum. The problem is haphazardly splicing it all together to make one smorgasbord of individually fun things that don't flow well together and there's no emotional attachment. With video games, you can get away with not telling the most compelling story out there. Some of my favorite games are Banjo-Kazooie and Shantae. With movies, however, because your full attention has to be on the story, maybe think about the fact that you may need to put in a little bit more effort there. We know Nintendo can make great stories. I've shown extremely recent examples in this video. So please, Miyamoto, let Koizumi on to the next one. He cares so much more about story and actively fought to add more into Galaxy 1 than you wanted. And I'm watching this, I know, but just let me crash out in peace, okay? One last thing that's not really related to Rosalina or really anything I've mentioned outside of the future. The post-credit scene bothers me to no end. I have not been able to stop thinking about this, so what do we learn about Daisy being in the next one? With the Sonic movie post-credits, the introduction of certain characters allows for the viewers to think of what games they could be adapting next, leading to constant speculation until it releases. This is because the games are so much more story-centric. You see Shadow in Sonic 2, you know that Adventure 2 is going to be the next major adaptation. Both Amy and Metal Sonic in Sonic 3, you bet your ass we're getting some CD representation next, with maybe a hint of Heroes there too. Now, going back to Daisy, what does this tell us? That Daisy's in the next movie at all? She was only in Super Mario Land for the original Game Boy, which had like 12 levels in it. The first one gave us Yoshi in the post-credits, leading me and many others to believe that Mario World would be the next step of progression for these films. We all thought it would be Mario movie, Mario World movie, Mario Galaxy movie, right? That feels like a natural progression for these films, and Galaxy is the perfect endpoint because of its emphasis on story. But no, we get Galaxy now, and now I'm genuinely clueless as to what they could do next. The only ways forward I can see for them is to either adapt the RPGs, which no they won't, or to make their own narrative with a lot of stuff from other things. Or make a Galaxy 2 movie, take your pick. As it stands, the Mario Galaxy movie is so bloated with characters and action that it leaves no room for what actually matters to adapt. They could have left half of this stuff for an entire separate film, but I guess not. Overall, do I have vitriolical hate for this film? Surprisingly, no. As I've stated, there were way too many fun moments and interactions between characters that I liked for me to say I hated my time watching it. I had a smile throughout pretty much the whole thing. It started to go away when I realized what they did to my girl, but still. Everything I wanted to like, I didn't like, but everything I didn't want to like or didn't think was needed, I did like. I didn't think it was possible for me to be as conflicted on something as I am with this movie, but here we are. It upsets me a lot more than the first one, which was just fun all around and only needed to be that, but it is still somehow more fun than it in individual moments. I don't think it's possible for me to say which one I like more. I lean more towards the first one, but I don't know. They're both 6s. Let's end the video now. I didn't want this video to be the way it is. Going from contemplative analysis to hard critique is not something I ever wish I needed to do, especially on something as dear to me as the storybooks and Rosalina. The future for both versions of this character seemed strange. There are rumors of the lore added to Rosalina from the films being added to her game version, and I seriously doubt that a third Mario movie will suddenly decide to lock in with a story out of nowhere. But let's not forget how we got here. A simple journey of a young girl trying to find meaning in her life. The fact that we even got something like this in a Mario game is still so fascinatingly beautiful to me. Despite its simplicity, it stuck with me as one of my favorite stories ever told through the medium of video games. And that connection is truly all that matters, or needs to matter to me. It doesn't matter to me that Rosalina was shafted in the movie. It doesn't matter to me how Fox McCloud was super fun and took away more screen time with my wife. It does not matter to me how this will be what people see Rosalina as in the modern day. But it does matter to me how much I love this storybook. I hold this story tight with me, and I turn to it whenever I'm feeling like not enough. And the writers need to feel so proud of themselves for that. Thank you for listening to this. It means a lot to me if you stuck around this long, and I may see you in another video. May the stars shine down on you. Goodbye.